everyone, I'm Victoria, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what I read in the month of August. So, let's get started. I'm keeping that in, but that was so embarrassing. Why did I do that? It's fine. Okay, so the first book I read in the month of August was Say Yes to the Marquess, I really don't know. I'm gonna say Marquess by Tessa Dare, and it's the second book in her Castles Ever After series. And I mean, so Castles Ever After is like the first series I started with Tessa Dare, and like I like her writing. I think she's fun. I know that her Girl Meets Duke series is like better because it's like her newer series, so I'm excited to start that once I finish this series. But this one is all about girls who inherit castles by this guy who died and he just gave all these girls like castles. And so this one follows Cleo, and she got a castle and she's been like engaged to this guy for like 9 years, and everyone makes fun of her for it because like she should have gotten married like 9 years ago. But he's like a diplomat, and because it's like it's a Regency romance, so it's like during the Napoleonic Wars and like after. And so her fiance is a diplomat, and so he's been in France and like just abroad this whole time, and like he just hasn't like married her. And gets this castle, she's like, well, I'm done, like I don't need to even get married anymore, like I have my own property now, I can start my own way of like providing for myself. So her whole plan is to start a brewery, and like that's how she's going to support herself, and props to her. But her fiance is still gone abroad, and so once she gets this castle, she goes to her brother-in-law and she's asking him to sign her divorce papers because his brother is gone. Our boy Rake, no, his name's Rafe. See, that part annoyed me so much. I was like, that name was too on the nose. He's a rake whose name is Rafe, and I just was like, Tessa, really? But anyway, so Rafe is the fiance's brother, and like since he's home, like he can take care of like all his brother's estate stuff and like Marquess stuff for him, so he could sign the divorce papers, or not divorce, but they're like separation papers, because like proposals back then were like set in stone, like you like signed up papers for it. But he's refusing to, and so he decides to go to her castle and like try to convince her for like this whole week to get married. And so they're doing all the wedding stuff and planning, and all the while their mutual connection and like chemistry comes out, and craziness ensues, as they all do in these types of books. I gave this book 4 stars for the time, like, because when I was reading this, I was going through a time, and so this was kind of the book I needed to kind of just like get my mind off of everything. And it was fun, it was light, it was short, it was steamy, it was all those things. I wouldn't say the plot was great. I was not a big fan of the plot. Like the beginning of the book started out so strong, and I loved the beginning. Loved the banter. I loved the steamy scenes. Like there was one, and I was on the plane flying home from where I was going, and I'm like sitting there, and I did not know what to do. I physically could not be on that plane to read this scene. I wanted to, like, it was like almost like the fact that I was in public reading it, I was like even more freaked out. But it was so good, and it had me captivated. The second half of the book was kind of slow. The ending wasn't as satisfying as I think it could have been, and it wasn't as like exciting, I guess. And like how everything kind of like cleaned itself up kind of felt rushed. And I feel like that's something that I've noticed in a lot of Tessa's books, is that her endings, like once, like, I don't know, the conflict just like resolves too quickly, and it doesn't feel like authentic, I guess. But overall, I had a fun time with it, and you will learn from my ratings, I am more on the nice side. Like, I really like anything. Like, I'm trash for anything. And usually when I make a rating on Goodreads, it's just based off how I feel right after reading it, the book, and like finishing it. But I do sometimes go back on my ratings. This one I am sticking with the 4. I did enjoy it, and the romance was super cute and loved the steamy scenes. I think this one was one of her best creative wise. Like, I don't know, I just really enjoyed what she did with it, and so I definitely recommend this one. Warning, this does kind of deal with cheating. I would like, it depends on how you look at it. I didn't really see it as cheating because there was really no feelings involved. Like, they weren't in an actual relationship, like they haven't been for 9 years. So like, her getting into that relationship with Rake, what's his name? Rafe, not Rake. He is a Rake, but his name's Rafe. Like, I didn't really see it as cheating because, I mean, it was like not right, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It's hard to decide how that is because of historical romances. Like, it's the historical context, and like, I think there's worse cheating storylines that have happened before. Like, this one wasn't really that big of a deal because the brother wasn't really committed to Cleo, so yeah, I'm not saying that it was justified. I think they should have just dealt with their problem from the beginning, but where would have been the story if they did? So yeah, those are my thoughts. And yeah, so the next book I read in the month of August was Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and I don't have the dust jacket on because I don't. But anyway, this is by Sarah J. Maas. Queen of Shadows is part of her Throne of Glass series, and I started Throne of Glass, I want to say beginning of July, maybe? And I kind of just like break it because I didn't want to read it all in like one like marathon, because I can't do marathon reading, like specifically with series, because like, I don't know, I need to like step out of the world so that I can kind of get more excited to read the next book, because sometimes it kind of gets tiring. But that's me. So I'm not really going to talk too much about the books because I did finish Throne of Glass this month, so I'm not really going to go into depth on my thoughts on it, because I'm thinking of doing another video where I kind of just go through all things Sarah J. Maas, because I'm trash for her. I know a lot of people don't like her, and like, she's not everyone's cup of tea, and I completely get it. Does have some problematic things in her writing, and I think there's a lot that she can improve on, and I'm hoping that she does. But I do love her writing. I think she does something amazing with her characterization, even though it's not very diverse, and it's not like, they're all kind of basic. Oh no, they're not basic. I wouldn't say they're basic. They're just like, yeah, no, they're not basic. They're great. But I love what she does with her characterization. I think she really, specifically with Throne of Glass, I think she did an amazing job of making you fall in love with pretty much everybody. Like, I was rooting for like all the characters, even ones that like I didn't like at the beginning. Like, I fell in love with them and I was rooting for them, and yeah. So I will be talking more about that in further videos, because, or like in another video where I can just really just go full on with spoilers, whatever. But I gave this 5 stars. I know, like I said, I'm trash for Sarah J. Maas. I thought that this book was a great transition from the first 3 books into these final 3 books, or actually first 4, because I did read The Assassin's Blade before I read Queen of Shadows, and I think that was the perfect way to read it, because the emotional like roller coaster I went on in The Assassin's Blade, and then how it kind of just like really made this book so much better. So I don't know if maybe if I read The Assassin's Blade like first before I read Throne of Glass, if this would have hit as different as it did. But I really enjoyed this. It wasn't as exciting. Like, it was a lot of kind of like transitional stuff, and it was like getting sorry for my language, but like getting shit done before like the real, like, I guess like conflict happens, because like it's all been leading up to like this big bad, and like this was kind of like closing like some parts of stuff for characters. I was about to spoil, and I'm really trying not to do that, but it was setting up a lot of things and closing a lot of like chapters for different characters and like starting new things. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you know what, that's the thing, is Sarah J Maas, she's not perfect, and I don't think any writer is perfect, but she does do something to help me escape, and that's really the point of reading. And yeah, so there's that. So the next book I read was Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch, and this is the second book after Love and Gelato. I don't know if this series is called, it's like Love and something, Travel, but it's where it follows like 3 girls who travel and find love. And so the first one's Love and Gelato. I have not read it, and that was a big oops on my part. I like got this book, didn't even realize it was part of a series, and started reading it, and oops. But really, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think the order really matters that much, because it doesn't really spoil anything. Like the two girls, like main characters, are both friends, but there's not big spoilers in this book for the first book, and I'll eventually get to it. I don't know. This book was kind of, I don't want to say it was disappointing. No, it was kind of disappointing. I still gave it a 4 stars, and although I was disappointed, I think it did have some strong parts to it, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So this book follows Addie, and she is in Ireland with her mom, 3 brothers. Yeah, her mom, 3 brothers, and they're there for their aunt's destination wedding. And so Addie and her brother Ian are fighting because of events that happened over the summer, and her and Ian originally are like super close, and like in big families like that, the siblings kind of like team up, and they're the 2 youngest, and so they're super close, but because of what happened over the summer, they are fighting and they're not getting along. And so they're kind of dealing with that, and they get kind of set up onto this whole like cross-country trip around Ireland with this guy named Rowan, who her brother Ian is friends with. And it's chaotic, it's fun. It's one of the best parts about the book, I think, was she starts each chapter with this little like excerpt from this travel book that's not real. I wish it was real, because I would have literally bought that travel book for whenever I went to Ireland. So if I ever go to Ireland, I'm gonna have to bring this, because the travel guide was so cute, and it was like it was Ireland for like the heartbroken, and so it had like little like places you need to go in Ireland, and like had like little like homework things you had to do at each spot, and it was supposed to help with like heartache. And so Addie was doing that on each of her little trips, and it was super fun. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I really enjoyed seeing Addie and Ian, their relationship kind of rebuild, like them figure out how they're supposed to go forward after the events that happened prior to the wedding, and kind of how they're going to do it together, and how they're going to be better to each other as siblings and continue their relationship that way. And I really like that. I don't have a brother, I only have a sister. It's just me and my sister. So I really liked seeing that dynamic with her and her brothers, and it was very cute. And I especially loved Ian. I thought he was such an interesting character. I hated him at first. I thought he was so annoying, and like he made me so angry because he was being so mean to Addie. And like he still, like, I don't think he does like kind of make up for like how mean he was to her, but he wasn't even like, he wasn't mean to her for what she did, but it was more like he was mean about how she was handling it and how it was kind of affecting their relationship. And he had a lot of things that he was like dealing with on his own, and I really liked seeing that too, because she is the main character, but you're also getting a lot more from the side characters. And I think that's something that I like, because I don't know, sometimes in some books there is the main character and we get it, it's the main character's story, but like I want to get a little bit more about what the side characters are dealing with. So I really like that. The one disappointing part was the romance. It had so much potential, and like the love interest, he was so cute. Like, he's a little McNerd, like he's nerdy and he's cute and he's Irish. Like, what more? Like, I was so excited because I was like, oh my god, the love interest is Irish. Like, that's my type. Like, I don't know what it is, but Irish guys just do it for me. But the romance was flat. Like, it was just disappointing because they didn't really even like get together. Like, it was assumed, and I was like, why couldn't we get more? And I get it, they've only spent like a couple days, and so I guess that was like authentic and realistic of Jenna Evans Welch to not have them like jump in. I wasn't expecting them to be like, I love you, because I mean, they only knew each other for like 3-4 days, I don't even remember. But everything that they kind of went through, I thought there would be a little bit more, and there wasn't. So that was my biggest critique. And like, even looking back at my score of 4 stars, I would have given it 3 stars, but I think the overall message made it very strong, and I think it's something important. If you're not reading it for the like romance, then I think it's an extremely enjoyable read, and there's a lot that you can get from it and learn from it. And like, I don't know, it was empowering, and I really liked seeing Addie's journey and her like what she had to go through in these couple days. But if you're reading it for the romance, then you're gonna be disappointed, and I think that was my problem. Was I was going in thinking it was gonna be heavy romance, and it wasn't. But it was a good read. I think I read this in like 1 day, so it was like super quick, super enjoyable. But yeah, the romance, if you're looking for a really like strong romance, I would not recommend this. So next I read Empire Storms by Sarah J Maas, and this was I can't do numbers, 1, 2, 3, sixth book in the Throne of Glass series, and this I gave 5 stars again. This, y'all, this was so exciting. Like, okay, one thing is, Sarah J Maas, I don't think she's the best, like, she's much stronger in characterization and romance than she is with plot and world building, I would say. Her worlds are kind of basic. Her magic system isn't very interesting. I mean, it's just Fae, and I love the Fae, love all that magic. I think I was way more interested in learning more about other characters and their magic and kind of how that works in the world, but I don't know. That's something that she does lack in. But this book overall, like, the plot was, I think out of all the books I've read from her, this has been the most interesting plot, finally. Like, it's gotten to a really good plot, and it was super interesting, super fun, funny, steamy, romantic, heart-wrenching, all the things. It had a lot going, and the cliffhanger was, it was crazy. Okay. So the next book I read was Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this was the book I got for Once Upon a Book Club's July YA selection. And if you don't know what Once Upon a Book Club is, it is a monthly subscription box that sends you a relatively new released book, and with the book you're given gifts that you open up on each page, or not each page, but like a couple of the pages. And it's super fun, super interactive. I loved this, like this whole reading experience. I was having the most amazing time reading this, and the gifts were so nice and so thought out, and like the wrapping and just everything. Like, you know that Once Upon a Book Club, Once Upon a Book Club like puts a lot of energy into making these boxes special and really making these books shine and like better. Like, well, not better, because this book was amazing. I gave this 5 stars. I'm gonna get into that, but I'm gonna talk about Once Upon a Book Club, because if you guys are watching this, please sponsor me. I love you. I really do. And I'm so excited to read my August book box, whole thing that's up there. But I'm so excited for it, and I will be making a video about just that whole experience, like probably like a reading vlog, if this blows up, but we'll see. Okay. So Today, Tonight, Tomorrow follows Rowan, and she is a Mexican Jewish girl who's living in Seattle with her illustrator parents, and they write this super cute, super fun, super popular children's book series. And so they're authors, and Rowan is secretly an aspiring romance author, which I thought was super cute and super special. I mean, there's a lot of books out there that talk about girls who, the main characters want to be writers and they have a love for books, but I really liked reading from Rowan's perspective because her parents, it kind of dealt with the idea of romance being kind of one of those genres that kind of people look down upon, and even her parents look down on it, and so she had to deal with telling them that that's what she wants to do, is write romance novels, and just kind of her accepting that's what she wants to do, because this book takes place on her last day of senior year. So she's graduating, she's moving on, she's going to college, and she's leaving her city behind, and she's starting her new life, and she's figuring out what she wants to do with her life. And this was super relatable because I was a senior in high school when Corona hit, and I really didn't get that last day and a real graduation. So I mean, I guess living through Rowan's experience was made up for it in some type of way, and I'm kind of dealing with the same things, is figuring out really what I want to do and getting myself prepared for the next 4 years of my life. And I started Zoom University 3 weeks ago, so I was starting when I read this, I think it was a week before, so I was really feeling oh my god, I don't know, it was really relatable, and I was kind of dealing with things that I was feeling. So there's that. And then their romance is so cute. It is enemies to lovers, which I am trash for. It is my favorite trope. It is the best trope, and no one can tell me any different. But her romance is with our dear Neil. I don't know what his last name is. Neil. And their rivalry started freshman year of high school over some essay contest. Was it an essay contest? I'm sorry. Like I said, I can't remember the plot. But their rivalry started, and they have been fighting each other academically for 4 years, and they're both the top of their class. They've always been fighting for best spots. They're co-presidents of the school, and it's the last day, and they're announcing who valedictorian is. And so that's kind of how it kicks off. And then that night is gonna be they do this scavenger hunt for the seniors. Can't remember what it's called, the scavenger hunt is called, but it's the scavenger hunt around Seattle, which I found really fun because they kind of we're talking about spots that I've never been to in Seattle, or places I have been, because it was a mix of tourist to local spots, and so that was super interesting to read. And yeah, so it's just this wild night, lots of changes, lots of things going on, and the romance was really cute. I loved Neil, and he was the banter, and just their relationship in general was super interesting. And yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but I really liked them as a couple, and I thought it was really funny. I was laughing so much. And with the Once Upon a Book Club, they did with the items and the gifts, with the scavenger hunt, it tied in really well and made the whole experience even better. And then I just overall, this book was so enjoyable, and what I really liked was reading from Rowan's perspective of being Jewish and being a part of the Jewish community, and how her struggles with stereotypes and with how other kids at her school treated her because she was Jewish, and just also the isolation of being Jewish and Mexican, so she's part of two minorities, and her struggles with identity, and how she deals with the rest of the world, and like what they talk about, like there's only like 4 kids in their high school like graduating class who are Jewish, and so it's very isolating, and she wished that she could have found more of a community, like grow closer to her Jewish community, and it was just very interesting. And so I'm white and Christian, and so reading from her perspective was very interesting and eye-opening, obviously, and it's kind of been a theme for me this month, specifically with like starting at my college. I'm an international affairs major, so learning what it is to be in other people's shoes and learning different perspectives from around the world is something that's very important with what I want to do with my career. And so this past month has been a big theme of me looking at, like, walking into the shoes of other people with other struggles than I have. And this book was just a really nice book for me to read. Like, it was just, I don't know, like, I just loved it, and I liked hearing her perspective. It was just something that I feel like I needed to read, and I needed to hear her perspective. And what, I mean, she's a fictional character, but a lot of girls and boys and just people in general deal with similar things, specifically just in the Jewish community, but just being any minority or just being different. And so I really enjoyed reading this, and I think it's not a book that more people should pick up. I really think it's fun, but it also has some serious aspects to it, and it's very empowering, and it's really good. I don't know, I love this book. It made me so happy, and I think the ending was super cute, and it was super, like, you finish this book so excited for your main character and also like the other characters. And yeah, I loved it. And I have to keep on saying, I loved it. I really did. And yeah, so cute. So the next book I read was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. And this was much better than I expected it to be. I gave this 5 stars. I was not expecting to at all. It follows a character that I really did not care about. Like, I did not want to read his perspective on anything. And I'm like not saying any names because I just don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but I really did not care what happened to him. And like when I was getting his like point of view in the past books, like I did not freaking care. But this made me love him, and I loved the 2 other perspectives I got to read from. I loved these women. They were powerful, they were strong, they were smart, clever, they were just everything. I loved them, and they were good people. And overall, this was a very different book from what she's done in the Throne of Glass series. So it was more of like a psychological book compared to these other books that are more action-packed. This did not have that much action. It was more focused on like emotional, physical, and mental healing, and it was super interesting. I think it was very different from what Sarah usually does, like with, I guess, the mental healing. She's big on that, like trauma, dealing with trauma, and I think that's something interesting that she does, is that no character in her books deals with trauma in the same way. They all deal with it in different ways and heal in different ways. So this was super interesting to read, and it really made me fall in love with characters that I was not completely obsessed with at the beginning. And that's just part of the Maas magic. I can't believe I just said that, but yes, it's the Maas magic. Pretty sure I cried. I can't even remember, but I think I cried. Like, I record like my reactions on Snapchat, so I will at the end of this like include all my like crying reactions. If any of you are, no, I'm gonna just add it because who freaking cares? You guys can come see me cry. But yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say about that, because I can talk for hours about Sarah J. Maas and all her books in another video. Well, I won't do it for hours. This video already feels like it's gonna be like forever. Okay, this next book. This book, I loved it so much. I think about it almost every other day. Like, it's one of those books that like sticks with me and I think about all the time, and it is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I gave it 5 stars because I love this book. Okay, I'm gonna start giving coherent thoughts and points, I swear. But I got this book, I ordered it from Book of the Month. I need to calm down, but this is what this book makes me feel, not calm. But I got this from Book of the Month, I just did it as an edition, so that's another one, Book of the Month. If you want to sponsor me, I love you. I love the detail you put into your books, like how you put them, publish them, but they even like have like these details. I don't even know. Can you see that? I hope it's focused. I'm really sorry if it's not. But like, and then just like this, I love it. I love you, Book of the Month, and it's affordable. Like for books, hardcover books in like this quality, like it's affordable and it's great, and you get something new. And then they also have these edition books where you can get great books like The Kiss Quotient, and I like have a couple that I ordered just off of Book of the Month because I love them. And yeah, so to the actual story, and I'm going to try to give a coherent synopsis because I really love this book and I think so many people need to read it. It's so cute. Okay, so it follows Stella and Michael. Stella is a econometrist, I think that's how you say it. And so that's her job, and she loves her job. She's a bit of a workaholic, and she also has Asperger's, which is a form of autism. It's on the autism spectrum. And so some of her struggles is with social interactions. She doesn't interact with people in, I guess, the normal way. She has a different way of viewing the world, and I think that was something I enjoyed so much from reading her perspective, was how she views the world. And I think that's something that everyone, like, maybe it's not this book, but maybe it's a book from someone else who has autism and is from their perspective. I think everyone kind of needs to take an opportunity to step in the shoes of people who view the world in a different way, because it kind of widens your worldview overall. But I loved looking at the, like, reading from her perspective and seeing how she goes through different social interactions and how she views them and how she kind of has to go through it and like be strategic almost. And I mean, I personally sometimes I'm like overthinking in social interactions and trying to weave my way through like what's acceptable manners and all these things and eye contact and all of these things. And these are things that are even harder for Stella at times and stresses her out. And it was just, I loved reading from her perspective. I got so emotional around like the middle end of the book because of like what she has to deal with, and like how she kind of got upset with herself for something that she can't control. And it made me so emotional, and just I loved her. Like, she was genuinely like someone she's one of my favorite main characters. I just loved her. Like, I thought she was so strong and so, like, she was just a beautiful character to read from. And yeah, she makes me really happy. But anyway, her mom wants her to get married, find a man, have babies, all that stuff, which Stella's not really 100% sold on the whole idea. But she wants to make her mom proud, and her mom wants her to have a date for this event. So her plan is to find an escort who can teach her how to be a girlfriend, how to be good at sex, how to be good at intimacy, emotional, physical, all that stuff, how she can almost be normal in a relationship. And so she hires Michael, who's the escort, and he is a Swedish Vietnamese tailor, aspiring fashion designer, and he also does martial arts. Just so cute. He was so swoon worthy. I like think of him all the time. Michael was so freaking hot, but he was also like, I mean, I don't even know, but the version of Michael I was seeing in my head was super hot. And he just, even just as a person, he was a beautiful person. And like, I don't know, he was sweet and understanding. He isn't perfect, neither of them are perfect, but like overall I really loved their relationship. And like where it goes is like she hires him and they meet and they kind of make this plan where he's gonna help her learn how to be a girlfriend, be good at sex, and yeah. And then it kind of, you know, changes and they start catching feels for each other, and it was so, their relationship, like I loved reading, especially during their little honeymoon phase where everything was going so perfectly. I loved reading about it and I just wanted to stay there for the rest of my life. And that is my one critique, is that their conflict, it wasn't avoidable, but I think it could have been done differently. Like, I didn't completely understand the conflict. It was a little frustrating, and it was because of just like both of their own, no offense, but like baggage. It was kind of and miscommunication, and I really don't like miscommunication. Those conflicts really drive me crazy because I just don't like them. I think they're just stupid. Like, I just don't get it. So that was my only thing, but like how it like got fixed and resolved was really done in a nice way, and like it was just good, and I loved it, and I loved them, and I was like so excited for them when they finally like got together. And I hope I'm not spoiling anything. I don't think I am, but yeah, I loved it. And we also get Michael's perspective, which I didn't know, and I loved his perspective too. I loved him. Like, I loved both of these characters. I really did. And it was just, it was an amazing, it was an amazing time. I loved it. I loved learning more about what it is like to be on the autism spectrum and kind of what those daily struggles are. And they're different for everyone who's on the spectrum, but just seeing one of those kind of perspectives was really nice, and I think everyone should pick up this book. So please do, because I love it. And also, if you couldn't get that from, it was so steamy. Oh my god. The steam, so amazing. There was just, I really loved this book. I don't even know if I'm overhyping it. I was really worried because a lot of people have loved this book. I was worried that I was going to read it and be disappointed, but I was not disappointed. I was not, and I love Helen Hoang. Like, she's now like one of my favorite authors, and I ordered The Bride Test, so it's over there somewhere, and I will be reading that soon. But yeah, those are my thoughts on The Kiss Quotient. Please go buy it. I loved it. It's one of those books, like, I don't know, some of my okay, sometimes I give books 5 stars because I just have to. Others where like I feel like I would give it 10 stars if I could. This is one of those 10 stars that I still think about, and when I think about like my top 5 favorite books, this is one of them. The book I read in the month of August was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, the final book of her Throne of Glass series. And let me tell you, this one was 100% a 5-star read for me. It was an emotional roller coaster. I think I cried like 5 times in this book. And like also, one thing with her books is that the beginnings can be rather slow, but because so many of her books have been leading up to this book, it was going, like it was always in motion. The story was always going. It wasn't really lagging in any areas, and I loved it. I loved how it ended. I love these characters. I was so freaking depressed when I finished. It was like, I don't know, that's the worst part I think about reading series, is that you become so attached and so invested in these characters, and once it's over, it's like a piece of you has like stayed with them in this book. And I loved this. Loved it. And I really would recommend Throne of Glass. And I just wanted to show this, like, look at this. Like, I think it's her signature with the sword, and it's just so cute. I really hope you're seeing. I'm not gonna focus my head. But yeah, really enjoyed this. I think it came together in a really interesting way, and the way she broke it up and kind of brought all these characters and point of views and like stories together into this one book was, I'm sorry what I'm doing with my hands, but that's how I feel. It was 5 stars. I'm trashed for Sarah J Maas. I wish I was, no, I don't wish I wasn't. I love her. I'm here for her. I love her. This series was great. It was just a great experience. I recommend, if you're more into like, I guess, the war and the actual like action and violence and like political stuff, I would recommend Throne of Glass over ACOTAR, because I think ACOTAR is way more romance heavy, and I like it for that, but also her plot in ACOTAR is weak. Like, I think she could do a lot more, even if she wasn't doing it heavily action-based, but political intrigue. I think she could do that in a much better way. The next book that I read was When a Scot Ties the Knot. Can you see that? I hope I don't look weird in this. By Tessa Dare, and this is not the final, but it is the second to last book of the Castles Ever After series. Big fan. This was good. I gave it 4 stars. I don't think it was better than Say Yes to the Marquess. They were like kind of the same. The beginning was so strong. Like, it had so much potential to be like amazing, and like I really did enjoy it. And like, I am a simp for Scots. Like, come on, a hot Scot, like what more can you ask for? Like, kilts, and it kind of I wouldn't say that it's like an off-brand Outlander. No, it was. I think I even said that in one of my Snapchat little like things. I was like, this is an off-brand Outlander. He's like an off-brand Jamie, and like I liked him. He kind of, I got like sick of the like broken warrior bit. Like, it kind of got old really fast, and this one was not as steamy as I think, well, definitely not as steamy as this one. And so I think that kind of like made me like it. The romance was really nice, but their conflict was miscommunication, and I freaking hated it. I hate miscommunication. I think it's so dumb. Like, I'd rather like it be a love triangle, and that's frustrating, but like at least it's like entertaining, or like actual things constricting them from being together. Like, this was stupid. Like, they just had to tell each other how they were feeling instead of like holding back. Like, but overall, really had a fun time. I loved the main character. What was her name? Madeline. And oh, I should probably get to the synopsis. So Madeline, she is a girl who really kind of she's kind of like socially awkward. Like, she gets very anxious about she has social anxiety. I'm gonna say that she has social anxiety or some form of it, and that's kind of where this whole story takes off. Is her parents, or like her father and her stepmom, really want her to go out into society. I really hope you can't hear my dogs. They really wanted her to come out into society, get married, whatever. And to avoid that, she made up this fake Scottish captain and was like writing letters to him during the war. And she did this for like 5, 6, 7 years, and she was just writing these letters, and like her whole family believed her, like, and was just taking this as like, oh yeah, this is her man, like they're gonna get married, whatever. And then like she fakes his death, and she's been writing these letters, and like I liked the beginning. That was the best part, was reading her letters. And like, so all this stuff happens, and then she kills him off because she can't hold on to this lie anymore. It was like snowballing and getting it very worse and worse. And so after she kills him off, It's like a couple years later, and she inherits a castle in the Highlands because of this guy who's been giving all the castles. He wanted to give her a castle for her and her Scottish captain. And so she moves there with her great aunt, I don't know. And one day, this guy who has the exact same name, his name's Captain Logan Mackenzie, has the exact same name, was a captain in the war, he's Scottish, obviously, comes and he's like, oh, like, hey, and he's trying to get her, and he gets her to marry him. Well, they do the hand fasting, and so they're like married-ish, but they haven't consummated it, and he's trying to he wants to marry her so that he can take the castle and he can provide a home for his soldiers. So it's not a completely evil scheme. He's not doing it for himself, he's doing it for his bros. He's doing it for his bros, and the relationship's super interesting. Madeline just wants to be on her own, like she's an illustrator, and so she really wants to illustrate for encyclopedias and like science, and she loves science, she loves animals, she loves drawing. She's very talented at illustrating and all that stuff, and so that's kind of her job. And so she kind of just wants to be left alone, and as long as Mackenzie doesn't tell everyone what she did in her lie, then she'll just marry him. And then they'll just have like a mutual understanding in their marriage that they're only gonna consummate their marriage once, that's it, and they can live their own lives. Obviously, that does not happen. Feelings ensue, and with that, chaos. And it was steamy, not the most steamy. I wouldn't even say it's that romantic. Like, I liked them together, but I don't know, it wasn't like a whirlwind romance for me. Like, it didn't sweep me off my feet, but it was fun read. Loved all the Scottish people in it. I just love Scottish people, I don't know why. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. Like I said with Tessa Dare, her writing, how she kind of like resolves conflicts is a little bit like quick and kind of wraps up. Like, it feels too fast and it doesn't feel authentic. And I would say this was the case for this book as well. It was a better ending than the Marquess one, but I wouldn't say I was like completely satisfied. Like, I was happy for them, but it kind of just wrapped up really fast, and then like all this stuff kind of happened all at once and then also resolved really fast, and I really thought it was kind of ridiculous. Like, her books are short and I like that, but if it means that the endings just kind of don't feel authentic or like make sense, then I'm not a big fan. I'm hoping, I only have one more of the Castles Ever After, and I'm hoping that ends really well. But I'm excited to start the Girl Meets Duke, because I think that's better than these ones, and hopefully I can say that she improved on how she like resolves conflict. But yeah, happy for them, had a good time, but was not my favorite. Really don't, like, it's not one of those books that I think about often, so it was a 4 stars for me. So, the final book I read in the month of August was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. And this is the first book of her Grisha-verse world. I really wanted to read the series, one, because I really want to read Six of Crows, and I know that you have to read this before Six of Crows to, I guess, like, better understand it. And also, Netflix is making a TV show about it with Ben Barnes, and I don't think you understand how much I love Ben Barnes. I am a Narnia nerd. I'm a Narnia, I don't know what I am. I'm trash for Narnia, and I love Ben Barnes, and I love the Darkling, and he's playing the Darkling, so I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. But this book follows our girl Alina Starkov, and in this world, it's based off of like Russian mythology and like kind of Russian culture, which I found super interesting for a fantasy book, because I think most fantasy like Sarah J Maas is one of those, where she kind of follows the like Fae and the like Irish, Scottish, I guess Celtic fairy tales mythology, where this is Russian. But this book follows Alina Starkov, and she is an orphan, and she kind of gets thrown into this world of Grisha, and Grisha are the magic wielders of this world, and they're kind of seen negatively by the normal human. But so the Grisha are gifted with these different powers, and they kind of are a part of this army of the Tsar, the king, and it's called the Second Army, and it's all Grisha, and it's led by the Darkling, who is the most powerful Grisha in this world. And I love him, and I don't feel bad about it. I'm gonna call him a morally gray character, because I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I love him. I would let this man do whatever he wanted with me. I love the Darkling. I don't know why. He's just like, he's just something. I can't even put my words. But anyway, so Alina is thrown into this world of Grisha with the politics and the intrigue, and she's also dealing with her own discovery of who she is, because she's went her entire life as an orphan with no powers, and now she's thrust into this world where she is extremely powerful, and she's kind of have to deal with that and having to discover who she is and like what she stands for and what she can do for her country, because the country that they live in, Ravka, is dealing with war and it's unstable, and that's kind of like how this story has been set up. And the ending of this story book was interesting. I did enjoy it. It wasn't completely like, I don't know, I'm not completely sold on this storyline, and I know that the Six of Crows is, more people enjoy Six of Crows than they did the Grishaverse, so I am looking forward to that, and I do enjoy the Russian inspiration, but I think it fell flat and got boring in certain areas. I'm only interested when the Darkling's there, and I feel bad for that, but yeah, like I only really care when the Darkling's there, and I have already read the second book in this series, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, it was interesting, and it kind of got better around the end, but I really only care when the Darkling's there. I don't know, he just brings some spice, and it's just like wrong, but it feels so right. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I'm a simp for the Darkling, and I'm not sorry about it. But yeah, so that was the last book that I read, and I gave it 4 stars, if I didn't already say that. I think I did. Thank you so much for watching. That's it. That's the end of my August wrap-up of what I've read this month. Hopefully I can see you guys again, and I can post more videos. Give it a like if you liked it. If you don't like it, don't do anything, please. And if you'd like to see more things from me, definitely subscribe. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really sound really weird. I'm looking forward to this. I kind of really would like to do this whole YouTube thing, so it'd be great if I got the okay from the rest of you. I'm super bored, and all my friends are gone, and they're at college, and so I'm ready to make friends with you guys. So thank you for coming. I hope I didn't waste your time, and I'm hoping that I can make this interesting. What else should I say? Peace out. Bye. Give you a little kiss because I love you. No, that's weird. Do you want to see me crying? And would you like to see? Okay, I'm gonna add in, these are me crying videos.